Hello, so someone tried to get me with a spear phishing campaign, or at least a semi-spear phishing campaign. So spear phishing is a form of phishing that's a lot more targeted, and I'm just going to take you through because it was a reasonable attempt. Now I don't know whether this was something that was specifically targeted for me or whether it was just a broad campaign that went out to a lot of content creators, but it was definitely targeted towards a content creator. I'm leaning towards the latter just because of the company that they said that they were. And the fact they used email address rather than my name says to me that it's probably a more general attack. So they don't actually put any links in the original email, so it could be possible. There's a couple of flags that make this look dodgy, and I'll point them out as we get to them. First there, the anthropology, and then anthropology at videoshoweditor.info. Now, that to me at the first didn't flag necessarily as immediately dodgy because I didn't know what the company did at this point. Whenever I first looked at this email, I didn't know what this company did. And so Video Show Editor, maybe they sold editing software. I wasn't sure at this point, but I logged that as need to check. So got the company. They said good evening, and then Maker Vlog 04. That's not my name. I say my name in near enough every YouTube video. So if they were actually looking for it, they could have got my name. So that's the first flag that says, okay, this is an automated email of some shape or form, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's completely dodgy. It could just mean that there's a company that's trying to do marketing and it's sent out to lots of different people. Doesn't mean it's someone that you'd want to work with, but still a flag anyway. So they basically carry on and say that they're interested in working with the brand. They're an online store that are based in the United States, and they share clothes, shoes, interior items, perfumes, and other little things that make brighter. So, a bit broken English, and they send their sell clothes. So, we'll go back to the email address. You can see video show editor. Is that likely to be an actual email? Starting to be a bit dodgy. What fee do you usually charge for promotion, interested, and then anthropology company? Again, they don't sign off with a name. That's another flag. Because if a company's reaching out, usually they attach a name to it. Now, my immediate thought when I read through this, I went and then Googled the company to see if it was a legitimate company. It is. But their email address is different, their general contact one and all that. So definitely spam email. But a good one because they don't initially put in a link. So I could see how this could trick someone potentially. Now, my immediate thought was to just ignore it and move on. But I thought, fuck it, let's see how far down the rabbit hole we can go. So I replied and says, hello, sure, we can discuss what it is you're after. I've not done many pre-roll adverts, so many thanks, Maker Vlog. So I didn't give them my name because I kept it within what they said, just because, hey, why give them information they don't have? They then replied back. This time they did put a name into it, Anna King. So the same email address, but they put an alias in here of Anna King, probably a fake name. And they've given a Google Drive link, password IDX, and they said, oh, check out the promo video and tell us a price that suits you. So immediately this is in the virus. This is what they want you to download. So first thing I did was I put it into URL scanner. Okay, so I put it into URL scanner first, and this is just to make sure that the URL itself is good, because a lot of them do just use Google Docs and stuff like that to share these files, and clicking on Google Drive download isn't necessarily going to be that malicious. So you can run it through here and see whether there's anything potentially bad about the email. As you can see here, no verdict. There's not a lot on here. Google Drive's been scanned a lot, but that particular user doc's been scanned 29 times, so it's been scanned recently, that specific that doc URL, so someone's checking it. But other than that, nothing from here screams that there's a major issue. But you can see here we've got a redirect chain, which is highlighted because obviously that's something to worry about, that it's redirecting somewhere, but not necessarily unusual. So next thing I do is check virus total. And same idea, you put the link in and it runs through, and you can see that at least one researcher has flagged this as phishing, which is correct, it is. So that tells me that the link itself is potentially dodgy. So I don't want to open this on my machine. I want to use a sandbox environment. So there's a couple of ways of doing that. There is this website here, AnyRun, which is really good because you can feed it the URL. It'll download the files into its sandbox and run it, which is really nice. However, this one didn't give good information back. It's a paid for service, typically, so the free version, it runs on Windows 7, it has limitations, and because of that, the actual information I got back about the malware wasn't fantastic. So another one that I used, this one was a little bit more fiddly, in that whenever you actually run an analysis, I had to actually download the files, so I downloaded them on a separate machine so that I wasn't clicking on the link, and then copied the files across. If I go into analysis here, we should be able to see it. So here it is here. So you can see you can choose the files to upload. You can browse the URL. The browsing the URL didn't work for me. Whenever I put it in, it seemed to get stuck because the folder, the zip file that they download has a password on it. And in here, I wasn't able to put in archive password. I'm not sure why that wasn't letting me put in. I'm not sure. It could be that it's maybe part of their paid for service, because this is also free, but you have to request an account. So what I did was I downloaded the files and the zip file, put it elsewhere, and loaded it in. And then you get a nice report back. It does take a while to run, but you can get different things. You get the management report, full report. The management report's quite nice because it's very simplified. It just shows nice, pretty pictures of what's going on, and then you can get the full report, which breaks it down into a lot of detail. But you can see right away, there's plenty of signatures that are found by malware, so it's not a sophisticated virus. Either they haven't hidden it very well, or it's old. And you can see it's trying to exfiltrate some data. It's spyware. It's a Trojan, basically. A little bit towards ransomware. The reason that it's flagging up towards ransomware there is because it actually checks for crypto wallets. That's part of its information gathering, which we can see down here. Down here, so found many strings related to crypto wallets likely being stolen. So it checks your machine to see if there's any crypto wallets it can lift, tries to harvest browser information, history, passwords, tries to steal crypto wallets. Simple as that. And we can see here on the MITRE attack framework. Here, I think this is quite nice. This is the behavior graph, so it basically goes through step by step what this is trying to do. So you can see down here, we start the malware. It's trying to query video information about the device, video controller, stuff like that. Tries to get sensitive disk information, inject a PE file into processes. And you can see here that it then starts to talk back to a command and control server. Now, here's a point. A lot of people would say, oh, cool, you've got their IP address, now you could do some counter hacking. No, don't do it. A couple of reasons why not. It's illegal to hack without permission, even if they are hacking first. And bear in mind, this server, this IP address, may not be the attackers. Okay, an attacker is not going to use their own server to run these command and control things, because as you can see, it's very easy to find out where it is. So usually what they'll do is they'll compromise another machine, another company's hardware, their web server, whatever it may be, and use that as their command and control. So this is probably owned by a legitimate company, and it's just been hacked, and it's been used for malicious purposes. So that's something to be aware of. Don't just go and start DOSing these IP addresses or start doing anything like that, because it could be a legitimate service and you're just fucking with them. The best thing you can do is, one, pass all this information on to the police and relevant authorities, which has been done. And if you can find out who owns that, without hacking, don't start sniffing the box, but if you can find out, do maybe an NS lookup or something like that and see if you can find out if there's a website attached to the email address, see who owns it, and let them know. And just say, look, I've gotten some malware, I've done some malware analysis on it, it's coming back to your server, you might want to check your systems in case you've been hacked. Some things like that you can do that make the attacker's lives so much more difficult. And then the other good thing with the Joe Cloud here is you get some nice screenshots of it. Now there was nothing really to see. It did most of it in the background. There was no ransomware or anything like that. So you can get a whole lot of information with this sandbox. Like I say, you have to request an account for them. You can't just go and spin one up. But I did. I just said, hey, I've got some malware. I'm pretty sure it's some malware. I want to get it checked out. Can I have an account? And yeah, they replied the next day and got it. So really, really good thing. They also have a lot of stuff for businesses, which is really good. If you have a business, having a sandbox to test things like this is just invaluable. You need to have that if you're potentially going to be getting hit from phishing attacks. And most companies, this is the kind of shit that's likely to compromise your environment. Never mind those 0 days, those really complex hands-on attacks. It's going to be an email with a virus. That's how they're going to get you in most cases. So hopefully this has been interesting for you. And yeah, like, follow, all that stuff. We'll see you later.